We're here to talk. Thank you. We're here to talk all things camp. So if we click to the next slide, I'll give you an idea of what the agenda will be this evening. First, we're going to start off by introducing some of our camp staff. We have a brief camp video to share with you all that highlights some of our facilities and our research vessels. We're going to go over the different camps that we offer at Project O, both residential and day camps, speak to you a bit about wellness at camp, share a few resources with you that we have available on our website, and then open it up to questions that you may have. Again, the chat feature will be available throughout the presentation. So if something comes to mind while we're talking, feel free to utilize that. And then there will be time for question and answers at the end. And we'll allow you to unmute if you feel more comfortable asking questions that way as well. All right, so we'll start off with our camp staff. And I believe I'm up first here. My name is Callie Sheets. I am the Director of Research Camp. I'm one of the captains. I'm also the curriculum director at Project O. I've been supporting camp for quite a few years now and really excited to have another wonderful summer at Project O.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Marissa Gustafson. I am one of the educators at Project O. I think this is going on my 9th summer. I am a camp director of one of our day camps that I'll be talking to you about today called Ocean Explorer Academy. And then I also help co-direct Ocean Camp the weeks that we do not have Ocean Explorer Academy. Also really excited and ready for the summer.
Hi, everyone. My name's Debbie Sayer. I'm one of the camp directors. I direct the Undersea Technology Camp, and I am the other co-director of our Ocean Camp. So Marissa and I kind of alternate weeks working on day camp and overnight camp. I'm a small boat captain, a lifeguard, and now that the weather's getting warm, I can't wait to be out on the water with kids this summer.
Hi, everyone. My name is Amy Stockberger. I am one of the educators here at Project O, as well as the residential supervisor. So if your kids are signed up for overnight camp, I will be the person that is here overnight, along with some of our summer interns. And this will be my 4th summer here at Project O. So really excited for another great time.
Hi, everyone. My name is on Undersea Technology Camp for day camps and then Ocean and Research Camps for overnight camps. I should also add to this, I am one of our new lifeguards as well. So I'll be on the water watching your kiddos when they're flailing around in the water in their life jackets and wading through. This is going to be my 2nd summer, and I'm very, very excited. I loved camp last year, so I'm really looking forward to another season and meeting all of your kids that you send to camp. So to kind of get us started and looking at all things camp, we created this video last year, and we are going to show it to you this year. This is kind of a tour of our building, gives you an idea of what our campus looks like and the different facilities that your kids will be utilizing while at camp.
Project Oceanology can't wait to kick off the summer camp season. Let's take a tour of our waterfront facility. Keeping our campers safe and healthy is our #1 priority. Campers spend ample time outside in the fresh air each day. We have outdoor classroom spaces, dining areas, and game fields to use on campus. And of course, our floating classrooms, the research vessels EnviroLab 2 and EnviroLab 3. We spend most of our days out on the water, aboard our boats, and along the beaches and shorelines. If your camper is attending one of our residential camps, meals are provided by Yukon Dining Services. They are prepared in a Serve Safe certified kitchen located in the Project Oceanology cafeteria. Day campers should bring their own lunches and snacks and be prepared to picnic on our adventure of the day. Residential campers will stay in our hostel bunk rooms. Sleeping quarters are arranged per the recommendations from the Connecticut Department of Health, allowing 6 feet of space between beds and arranging bunks head to toe. Each floor of the hostel also has 2 separate bathrooms with sinks, toilets, and showers. Single occupant, gender-neutral bathrooms are also available. Last stop on the tour is the pride and joy of Project O, our boats. Both research vessels are fully equipped with science gear to aid our exploration of Long Island Sound. Otter trawl nets, Peterson grab, plankton nets, water quality testing instruments, and so much more. We also have a fleet of Carolina skiffs with flat hulls so we can zip around shallow water ecosystems too. Project Oceanology is dedicated to providing meaningful, hands-on marine science experiences for our campers in the safest way possible.
Okay, so first up on the docket today is just talking to you about some of the day camps that we offer at Project O. So there are technically 4 different camps, and we do a different day camp every week. So Ocean Explorer Academy is one, Undersea Technology Camp is another, and then we have 2 different partner camps with Mystic Aquarium that are on the same week, and we kind of alternate them depending on what location the students are at. So as far as Ocean Explorer Academy, that is for students entering grades 4 through 7 for the following school year. And we have 4 different themes depending on which week of camp you're coming to. It would be potentially one of these different themes. So they all have different or similar, I should say, activities as far as going out in the field. Every day we're out in the boats, in the water, and that kind of stuff. But the way that we teach that material might be different depending on the theme of the week, as well as some of the labs that we do are different from week to week.
So one of our other day camps, as we mentioned up top, is Undersea Technology Camp. This is for students who are entering grades 6 through 9. And we kind of alternate weeks with that Ocean Explorer Academy, like Marissa just said. So an example schedule for our day camps, and it's different depending on the day camp, depending on the age range of the students. It typically starts with check-in when you guys drop your kids off with us at the Project O building. And we start our day with an engineering task. So Undersea Technology Camp is all about the engineering cycle and problem solving with the tools in front of us. And so what they do is every day they build an ROV, a remotely operated vehicle, using a sea perch kit. So it's PVC pipes and zip ties and motors. And they are trying to solve a different task. So one day we might be trying to retrieve popcorn from the surface, modeling, retrieving ocean debris and trash. Another day we might be diving for rings and trying to kind of salvage something like you would in a wreck dive. And once we've done that, we are typically out in the field for lunch. We're either out on the big boats, on our skiffs, exploring the environments all around us. And then we try to also put in some engineering and science in the afternoon. So we might do a lab or maybe a different engineering challenge. And then at the end of the day, we might play some games, kind of debrief for the day and prepare for the next day.
All right, so our overnight camps run Sunday through Friday. and we stay in our beautiful hostel facility. Ocean Camp is sort of, you want to think of it as sort of every type of marine science all packed into 1 week. And our marine science research experience camp is more of student directed research projects that they carry out over the course of the week. So we have different grade bands that can attend camp. So it's keeping kids of the same age and grade level kind of together at camp. So that's grades 6 through 12 or rising 6th graders, those who are going to be starting middle school next year. Through 12th grade. And so Ocean Camp, these are the grade bands that I was speaking of before. So grades 6 through 8, 8 through 10, and 9 through 12. And so each of those grade level bands have different themes as well. So it's not as clear as like hidden habitats and animal adaptations, but every camp carries out sort of a project over the course of the week that they can continue to work on. So for Ocean Camp, our day begins at 7:30. We get our wake up call. Breakfast is served in our cafeteria at 8 o'clock. And then as soon after that as possible, we are out on the water. So that could be aboard the EnviroLabs, that could be on a beach, maybe riding one of our skiffs. We're back at our building for noon. Lunch is served in our cafeteria again. There are some times when we're able to bring our lunches out into the field. If we want to have an extended day out on the boat or on a beach, we can arrange for cold lunches to travel with us. But we'll be exploring the water all day long. We're back for 6 o'clock dinner time. In the evening, we're generally inside the building doing some more science and some fun stuff too. We're integrating lots of games so kids can really get to know each other at camp and really bond with one another. And then after 9 p.m., they have a little time to just be kids, play some games, interact with each other, talk about their day. And then 10 o'clock, they're in their bunk groups, hopefully falling fast asleep.
So marine science research experience, Debbie mentioned, is really geared for those budding scientists, maybe your campers thinking about pursuing a career in science or really is passionate about science. This is the perfect camp for them. They get to actually design their own research project. So on the first day, we'll get out in the field, we'll sort of show our operation area, where we can get to. What kinds of habitats we can get to and what kind of science sampling gear we have available to us. And then by the end of that first evening, students are actually, so once we have that established, breakfast is happening in the morning at 8 o'clock after wake up time. So same as the other residential campers. And then we're usually meeting in the lab and we're kind of game planning for the day, gathering whatever equipment we need and coming up with a schedule. Is there a team that needs to go out at low tide or catch a high tide to help answer the research question? So we'll be out in the field for most of the day. We come back to Project O to have some lunch. And then after lunch, we're back at it. So most of our projects are designed to get to by skiff. So we spend a lot of time in the skiffs during this camp. And then in the afternoon, we come back together to sort of talk about what worked for the day, troubleshoot, sort of talk to each other to come up with a game plan for the next day. And then after a hard day's work, we give the kids some free time to kind of unwind and play some games outside, or sometimes we'll do that indoors. After dinner, we'll have an evening lab, and you can see an example here. We might do something like fish printing. So kids are going to have some of those same experiences as the other campers as well. And then we have free time again to unwind and talk about the day, and then lights out will be at 10 o'clock.
All right, so we do have a pretty extensive packing list that's in our camper handbook that you'll see in a minute, but we get a lot of questions about what to bring. So we thought it was worth having its own kind of slide in this. And so as you can see here, there's a variety of different things that you can bring. Under the required section, things like a backpack or bag to put your things in, especially if you are we're going out onto the boat. It's helpful to keep it all in one kind of central location. Probably a few bathing suits, just so you can alternate them throughout the day. We usually suggest for towels, some for the beach, and then some that can stay in the building for showering. And then we also have rain gear on the list. So as long as it's not, thundering and lightning and insanely windy, we do still kind of go out in the rain. So sometimes bringing something like boots or a rain jacket is helpful. For us, things like sunscreen, water bottle, and water shoes are a must, as well as some sort of socks and sneakers. So there's a few different options for footwear. We need some sort of closed-toed shoes while aboard our larger boats. And then as we move down the list, you'll notice there are some things like the long pants, sweatshirts, and things like that. So especially in the evenings when we tend to be more inside the building, it does get kind of chilly. We have central air, and sometimes it works really well, and you don't want to be too cold at the end of the evening. And then the last thing I wanted to mention on here to highlight is pillow and bedding. So you could see in our video, we have 2 bunk beds in each room. And even though in the video they showed some sort of like linen on them, that is something that you should provide. And in the handbook, it says what size is needed for that. So sometimes students will just bring a sleeping bag. And that kind of helps with the bedding and the blanket situation. And then they just bring a pillow. And then other times there are students that bring actual fitted sheets and then a separate blanket or comforter to go on top. And something very important to mention is we do have a pretty stringent policy about electronic devices. And more specifically, things like phones and tablets. And not that we want to block our students off from the outside world, which we'll talk about contacting in a minute, but it really helps, one, with safety. So if there's any sort of issues, having us as camp directors or educators know about it is really important, rather than potentially having a camper contact a parent directly and us having no idea. As well as it also helps with our camp community. So I'm sure you're all no stranger to how devices can often be distractions in some different ways. And we've really found that by not having these devices like phones and tablets that can connect to Wi-Fi or to like call people, that students are able to really engage with each other even more and develop even stronger connections and friendships. So this is something that we're really mindful of and something that we stand behind. So as far as contacting your camper, there are multiple ways that this can be done. So one of which is by phone. So we have a camp phone that we give out the number on the first day of camp. So you can call your camper and leave a voicemail, which we can return to you at some point. Normally during free times is the best time for us to do that. And another way that parents have really enjoyed is actually by sending emails. So we have a specific camp email that some parents send an email a day, and we normally check them at meal times. So we'll print them out, we'll hand them to your camper as they're eating their meal. And then good old fashioned snail mail is always an option. We get some campers who get care packages sent to them with like snacks and goodies, which is totally fine by us. We just make sure that you time it properly. I'd hate to have your your package get there a little too late.
Okay, so we'll talk a little bit now, I think, about wellness at camp. We were going to continue with our health screenings, and those are just daily check-ins with campers to check in to see how they're feeling, and that's both for our day and residential camp. We're not currently requiring masking, but we know by working in the schools that some students are still masking. And if you are choosing to come to camp with a mask, we fully support that. We would ask that you would come with 3 masks per day in case they get wet or dirty. We're still keeping up with our enhanced cleaning procedures. So we're using deep cleaning procedures of all our areas. We have sanitation stations, so we have hand sanitizer out, as well as good old soap and water in all of our teaching spaces. And lots of signs posted, and that's something we'll remind students of as well, about washing hands, of course, before meals as well. This comes up sometimes, a question about illness at camp. So just a couple of points to highlight here. And then again, the handbooks that we've described and we'll share with you shortly. All of this is spelled out in there in great detail, so you're welcome to refer back to those. But basically, if a camper becomes sick while they're at camp, we'll remove them from the rest of the campers, and they'll be with the camp staff, and then we'll contact home to let you know what's going on. In cases of fever or diarrhea or vomiting, we'll ask the camper to go home in those instances, no matter what. And then we know that COVID is still out there, and so we've been really good at operating camp through COVID the last couple of years, and so we have lots of protocols in place. We won't spend the time tonight to go over all of those in detail, but again, if you're interested in our COVID procedures and our protocols, you can take a peek in our handbooks, and everything is in there.
Okay, I'm just going to talk a little bit about medication at camp. Lots of campers will need to bring some sort of medication with them. And so we have what the state of Connecticut requires of camps. So all over-the-counter and prescription drugs need to have a self-administration form signed by a doctor. And so that means things like bacitracin or ibuprofen, or if you have a medication for heartburn or something like that, that is a prescription drug, those things also need to have these forms. Our definition of self-administration is part of our camp forms that is on our website. We'll show you that shortly. But basically, we're not expecting a camper to retain their own medication or, Amy is clicking through it right now. She's going to take you to that. Our camp documents tab right there opens right up, and you can see that's our physical form, and this is the authorization for self-administration. A couple of things that need to be included on here are definitely the name of the medication, whether or not it's controlled. Your doctor will know how to fill this form out. And then what it's being administered for. So if it's Tylenol, it might on that line just say something like headaches. The dosage is really important on this. It needs to say the dosage, and it needs to match what is on the prescription. So, for something that's over the counter, the dosage will be whatever your doctor deems necessary. But if it's a prescription, it's important that if it says 10 milligrams on the bottle, it needs to say 10 milligrams on the self-administration form as well. Time of administration is another one a lot of doctors kind of forget about, but it's super important for us to know when to give those medications. It might be an as needed medication like that Tylenol I was talking about, or it might be something that's time constrained. So it needs to be given at breakfast or in the evening before bed, things like that. That time is really important. So if you could help your doctor double check this before it comes our way, that saves everybody a little bit of trouble. Starting and end date could be the week of camp, or it could be for an entire year, and you can use the same form for multiple camp sessions. And then it's very important that both your signature and the doctor's signature is on this form. And like I was saying, the administration, self-administration simply means that our staff is going to retain those medications in a secure, locked location. And if it's a controlled drug, double locked. And we will provide those medications at the times on the self-administration form. Self-administration simply means the camper has control over whether or not they take it. They may refuse it, and then we have to fill out a form just stating that the medication was refused, and you'll get a call home. All of that, the definition by the state of Connecticut of self-administration is right there. When it comes to things like emergency medications like inhalers and EpiPens, we have other forms that need to be filled out in addition to the self-administration form. Like I said, we're not expecting any student to have the clarity of mind to be able to administer an EpiPen to themselves, but we will assist them in getting that EpiPen into their body. So the EpiPen emergency care plan, your doctor, again, is going to know how to fill this out, but it gives us detailed instructions. And so we have this already in the back of our minds. You know, do we administer the EpiPen immediately, or is it more of an allergy where we administer Benadryl first, or whatever order your doctor would like this to be, and you kind of make, they'll put sort of a number order of what we do. And that also needs to be signed by a doctor and a parent. So if you're bringing something like an EpiPen, you need an emergency care plan, and you need a self-administration form for any medications mentioned in this plan. So if it's an EpiPen and Benadryl, they both need separate self-administration forms. For inhalers, you also need a self-administration form, and we have a separate emergency plan for an asthma situation. And so you might have a controller medication that you take in the green zone, something that you take daily that helps maintain your breathing. But there's also rescue inhalers that can be in the yellow zone or the red zone. And so this gives us, again, detailed instructions on how to manage that situation. If we get into a dangerous situation, of course, the first thing we do is call EMS. But this also breaks down how often can we give those rescue inhalers, and is there anything else that can be done to help bring this. Another note about inhalers, I just want to kind of tag this on there, is if your doctor on the self-administration form indicates that a spacer needs to be used, please bring that to camp. That saves us a lot of trouble because it's considered a necessary part of that medication if it's on the form. We have some other forms on here too. I'd like to mention our personal plan of care, individual plan of care form. This form is a way for you to tell us anything else that your camper might have going on. So this could be something like a food allergy. If it is an anaphylactic, you know, they just get itchy or something like that. Or if it's maybe some other need that they have. You know, my child has legs that are different lengths, and so walking long distances could be challenging for them. That's something that's useful for us to know. This is another place you can also tell us anything at all about your camper. Something like anxiety. This is a good place for us to really start a conversation about how to best support your camper when they're here. All of our staff are really sensitive to camper needs, and you can contact any camp director about specific concerns you have, but this form is a great way for us to have it in writing, how we can best support your camper. So all of those forms are available where Amy was showing you click-throughs before. They're on our website. We have a day camp handbook with all the things that you would need to know to come to day camp at Project O. Residential camp handbook is a little bit more involved. It's located here on our website. If you go to our main page and click on camps, all of our camps are located right here, and you can kind of scroll through to see all the different camps available. And then up at the top where your camp forms, your camp handbooks, the virtual tour that we showed you earlier, anything that you might need, including our handbooks and our FAQ, our frequently asked questions. So this is a kind of a quick overview of our residential camp handbook. It's got everything we're saying today and so much more in great detail. So it gives us the time that you would need to arrive, how we handle different things that are going on at camp, everything you need to know in that handbook. So we encourage you to go take a look. We have it in a digital format just to save some paper, but it is also printable. And then our camp forms, our FAQs, I think is the one thing that we have not looked at yet. So if you have anything else that isn't answered by our discussion right now, that's also available on that camp page. Lots of different things that you might want to know before you have to reach out, check that page. All right. So this is how you can get in touch with us. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Amanda.
I was going to say the same thing. No, this is how, so we've run a lot of information at you tonight. If you have any general questions about camp, feel free to call our front office. Our staff are available to answer questions during business hours. You can leave a voicemail. We can get back to you as soon as possible. And then if you have specific questions about any of the camps that we've outlined tonight, Ocean Camp, Marine Science Research, OEA, our Ocean Explorer Academy, here's the contact information for our specific camp directors for those weeks. So we'll kind of hover over this for a moment if you wanted to jot it down, but this will also be available to you folks after tonight. We're recording this session, and all of our information can be found on our website as well. So feel free to visit there if after tonight you have any further questions. So we'll kind of hover over this screen for a moment in case you did want to write that down. And in the meantime, I believe we are going to open it up to questions. So if you guys have any questions, feel free to pop it in the chat. You can use the little reactions icon at the bottom to kind of raise your hand. And I think I'll mute and we'll kind of see who has any questions.
Yep, I will say I did take off the unmute feature. So if you want to unmute and just ask your question, I think we're a small enough crowd that would be okay too. So fire away, we're ready to answer your questions, folks. So I see in the chat, there's a question about smartwatches. Is that included in the no electronics policy?
I started typing, but that's all right. You beat me to it. What I was going to say was we encourage our campers instead to wear more traditional watches than the smartwatches. We have gotten burned in the past with campers showing up with smartwatches that were actually connected to phones. So they didn't have their phones where we could see them, but they were actually connecting to Wi-Fi using their smartwatches. So I would say that our no electronics policy does extend to that. We don't want the smartwatches technology are developing fast enough that you can actually text from your smartwatch and things like that. And so we really want, again, that immersive experience. So I guess the answer to that would be yes, it does extend to smartwatches.
Just something else that a question we get asked a lot about technology is some students do have something like a Kindle, which is a way for them to kind of read. We encourage students to bring like games and kind of like hobby style activities as well that they can share with others. So something like a Kindle where you can download a book or something ahead of time would be more of an allowed electronic, if that is helpful.
As long as it does not have a data plan.
Yes. There's lots of workarounds nowadays, and we're trying to keep up with the times.
All right, does anybody else have any other questions for us? I see one about old school cameras. Yep, bring them on. Cameras are great. Usually we mention this, so I'll say this now. Our staff are really great at taking photos. So that's another way you're going to feel connected and be connected to your campers. We create a Google photo album. And usually on the first day of camp, by the afternoon or the evening, we'll share that with families. So every day you'll get an update and get to peek at what the kids are up to during the week. So you'll get to be seeing all those images.
I just answered it in the chat too, but requesting a bunkmate, you can do that right in our camper registration. So as you sign your camper up for whatever session they're attending, there is a little line that you can complete and say bunk request. You can put the name of another camper or 2 campers or 3 campers that you know might be attending. We try to honor as many requests as possible. I believe that you're actually able to go in and edit those answers on your registration if you log back into Active Network. I believe it'll allow you to make that change. If not, you can email either Marissa or myself, and we'll make sure that it gets added.
Yeah, we're able to kind of add some notes.
Add it on the
in.
backside. Mhm.
Yes.
Mm. Great. I don't see any others in the chat, but if you have any other questions, now would be your last chance. Or again, you know how to reach out to us. You can email us or you can always call the office. But we really appreciate your time this evening. Thank you so much for joining us, and we're looking forward to a wonderful summer.
Looking forward to meeting all your campers.
Bye, everyone. Have a great evening.
Thanks, everybody.